All right. Good afternoon, partners. As always, thank you so much for attending today's session, today's enablement session. The Tech Partner team is happy to host these every month for the Sage 300 Cloud Business Partners. Now, on the call today, we have Greg Swallows from Sage Alerts and Workflows, otherwise known as Knowledge Sync. He's going to take you through the solution, its feature sets and functionality, and how it can improve your customer's business. And for you, the business partner, the main aim is for you to get equipped with the tools to understand the solution, to know how to pitch it and place it to your customers as well. As always, I implore you to take a look at the Sage Marketplace to understand the solutions which are add-ons for our Sage product stack. As you know, Sage, we do ERPs, we do payroll, we do HR very well, but it's these solutions which can actually help us attack those specific verticals which your customers play in. With that being said, I'm going to hand it over to Greg. He's going to take you through your demo. So sorry, apologies. A little bit of housekeeping before. We're going to go through the session. Please add your questions to the Q&A and the chat. We'll take them towards the end of the session, which will allow Greg to go through the presentation. Greg, the floor is yours.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And good afternoon, everyone. I really do appreciate you taking the time to sit through this. And then for the people that are going to receive that after the fact, certainly thank you for taking the time to socialize it internally within your organization. And hopefully that you get the benefit out of it, or some department within your organization gets the benefit out of it. So today I'm going to talk about actionable insights, improving your business with Sage Alerts and Workflow. And Sage Alerts and Workflow is something that you as a partner can go ahead and download from our website and install yourself and run in your own organization. I'll generate out a not for resale license for you so that you can bring it in and get the benefit of the software in your own business and also get an opportunity to work with the solution, understand how to create an event, how to create a map, if you will, so that you get the idea of how it works so that you can express that to your customers moving forward. So I'm going to talk about some of the features and functions that Sage Alerts brings to a customer of yours. So forms deliveries. So every company is dealing with different types of forms, right? We're generating either through Crystal reports or through SSRS or through some other reporting mechanism. These reports are quotes, right? We're just generating quotes. We're sending it out. We're sending out invoices. We're sending out statements. Someone's job within an organization is responsible for creating that data, pulling it together, and then sending it to the recipient. You can configure Sage Alerts to do that automatically using reconfiguring alerts that it comes with the software and then put a trigger to it to what date and what time or what's the relationship of the recipients to the time that they get that information. So all these different forms that you create around Sage 300 are available to be used through the software. So whether it's be a cloud solution or a hosted solution or for even the desktop solutions, the software works the exact same way of creating that information and sending it out through forms delivery. So think of, what your customers are doing and who's delivering that information. And here's an opportunity to introduce a product that could save them time because it doesn't have to worry about, PTO or weekends or holidays. It will just run and do all the good things that it's supposed to do in the background. So forms delivery. And then we do exception managements. So companies are really good at dealing with the exact same thing over and over again. It's those exceptions. Who's watching for them? An exception could be anything from your customer. A scenario that the customer says, hey, on this particular order, I need you to pack it in boxes less than 50 pounds because I don't have a fork truck driver available when the product's going to be received at the dock, if you will. So that's an exceptions coming in. Or maybe it's a payment schedule that it's, I need 30% with order, 30% before it's shipped, and 30% and 30, right? So there's all those things that are nuances or an exception that we want to talk about. or monitor for, right? So we're sending to a different ship to code. We've got different ship to codes set up for that customer, but this one's a drop ship to another address, if you will. As I say, pack configuration. Maybe I'm not allowed to add substitutions. I'm only allowed to ship the product SKU numbers that are associated with the PO. And in this case, particularly, I'm not allowed to run substitutions. In other cases, I am. Those are exceptions, and we want to monitor for those because we're really good at taking orders inbound. But if no one's watching for these things, when we finally deliver that product to the customer at the back end, what happens? Well, we've messed up. So now we as a business are responsible for bringing it backwards through the supply chain and then producing the right thing and sending it to the customer. So we as suppliers are going to eat that cost. So let's look at the exceptions that are coming in on orders or shipments and make sure that we've got those correct as we're flowing them through our business. And then we deal with time responses. If you think of your customers, if you will, even your own business, everything is triggered against a time, right? Whether it's order by date, ship by date, cancel by date, request date, whatever the date is associated with it. Well, what's great within Sage 300 is those are triggers, right? Everything that we do is timestamps. So we can use those timestamps within the application to say, hey, this action has to be done. So an order comes in, when the order comes in, what do we need to do? Maybe credit limit. We have to make sure we didn't exceed that. Maybe we have to get it signed off because we need engineering drawings to come in. Maybe finance needs to know so that the order's here. Now they have to wait for payment coming inbound. Maybe there's a shipment date because we have to hit a cargo vessel. So we have to have it at the dock at a particular day so it can get through that transportation to hit the ships. So there's all those types of things that are time responses that we can create an alert around. And think about how handy that would be if that alert just popped up on someone's desk, or we had a monitor in the facility, and we had these things sent to a monitor. These are the things that have to happen today. These are our highlights. This is what needs to ship. This is what's coming in the facility, right? So we can take those from time responses and then use that information to share it within the organization so that everyone's aware first thing in the morning what has to happen today. And at the end of the day, maybe we send them another alert saying, hey, this is what's pending for tomorrow so they can get prepped for that and make sure we got the right people and equipment in place to deal with it. So all that information is residing within Sage now. Let's use it with time responses to send that information throughout the organization and also to the customers and vendors. So maybe there's a scenario where the orders received, we want to respond back to the customer. Thank you very much for your order. Your order is now moved to production. Your order is now ready for shipping, right? So each one of those stages, as it moves through the modules of Sage, is also a trigger. So order entry, general ledger, inventory control, accounts payable, and accounts receivable, each module receives data. Every time that data is received is a trigger event to then communicate to the customer, if you want to, about where the status is of their order so they get some better visibility of what's coming into their place. And then we look at threshold monitoring, right? So we deal with a lot of thresholds, and certainly you as businesses, you're monitoring, how many quotes do I've got open today? When are these quotes going to expire? Is the price point on those quotes that I produced last week still relevant to this week, right? So those are thresholds that you as partners are monitoring, but the customer's monitoring the same sort of thing. He's worried about, hey, do I have too much inventory? What's that dead stock costing me? Right? When was the last time that customer ordered from me? When was the last time a discount level was given to a particular client? All these things are thresholds that we want to monitor. Are we up against them? Are we at our min max levels in our inventory? Do we have not enough quotes out there? Do we have too much AR extended out to our customers out there? Right? So these are the types of things that you can decide, and part of the solution and part of the queries that are already established is what thresholds do you want to monitor, Mr. Customer? And we can use the software to do it to make sure that we've created enough orders for the day, or we've made enough shipments for the day. Our salespeople created X amount of POs this month. We have X amount of overdue invoices. So those thresholds, no matter what they are, because the data is in Sage 300, is we can use them to create different alerts and send them out to the appropriate people. And then assignments and approvals, right? So lots of things that happen within a company all needs to be approval. An order comes in, maybe engineering has to approve the order. Maybe it's a design change that was in that order that engineering has to be aware of. Maybe we have to make sure electricians are there to wire it in. Maybe sure we need concrete people there to make we have a sub foundation to put the product on, right? There's all kinds of approvals and assignments that go along with the processing an order through a system. Let's use the software to notify the people that that's happened. If it's a approval for finance, if it's approval for a bill of material to go out through the shop, if it's an approval for a PO to go out to a vendor to associate products that I need for the sub build of my final completion, all those things are assignments and approvals, and we can use the software to monitor those type of things that have happened within the organization. Again, most companies have people doing this, but if we can help free up that person to do other things and have the software just kick that off in the background, even if the client still wants that person being there, this is a checks and balances that it gets done. And it's a reliant tool that people can say, hey, this is part of my Sage 300. It's running within my 300. It's using my data. So I have a single point of truth of what's going on within my organization. So I believe in the visibility of my product. And then enterprise-wide auditing. There's all kinds of things, and Sage 300 is just not its own world. It's got a whole part of an ecosystem that it surrounds it, right? And it could be a CRM package, an HRMS package, could be a warehousing package. There's all kinds of things where you have silos of data, if you will. So where do we get that single point of truth? Do we believe the customer master file in 300, or do we believe our CRM system? Why don't we just look at auditing the information to make sure we've got the same information across multiple databases, but certainly within our 300 itself? Are our credit limits associated with each customer that assigned? Are they in line with what the value of that client is produced through sales in the last 12 months or the last 24 months? Have we extending too much credit limit to someone whose AR is always 90 days plus? Those are reports that can be generated from the software, right? So credit statuses, item costs, how much inventory, who's the rep who's associated with each one of these customers? When was the last time that customer was contacted, right? When was the last time my customer cycled an order through our systems? If we have 300, 500, whatever the number is customers, are they one-time customers or are they repeat customers? And the one-time customers, what do we need to do to get visibility to make them repeat customers, right? Those are questions that salespeople ask, that companies ask, because as you know, it takes so much energy, so much time and money to go get a customer. How do we then keep them, cross-sell them into other products that we have within our system if we don't really have the visibility of what they're doing? So giving us an audit of what those customers, what our accounts are doing, helps with growing our business and giving visibility into it. And then reports distributions in every company, even probably your own. Someone's generating reports, and then there's emailing those reports around, or they're walking them over to another desk, and then someone's pulling out a highlighter and highlighting the things that are unique to them in each one of these reports. But why do we need to deliver the haystack to everyone when all they really want is those needles? So let's look at reports distribution, right? We have AR aging reports. Finance wants to know that. Sales wants to know how many orders that we have today in-house. Sales wants to know how many quotes that we have produced, how many quotes are going to stale date this month, how many quotes are going to stale date in the next 7 days, right? So that they can focus their salespeople up on getting those things in-house, right? So what's my AR aging report? What's my extended, right? If maybe my if I'm happy to extend X amount of dollars, but anything over X we need to deal with. Let's get the report in the right people's hands so that we get that dealt with, right? So maybe there's job statuses. Where's every order within the process of manufacturing? What are today's shipments? What are tomorrow's shipments? What are things that have to ship out this week? On the reverse, what's coming in from my vendors, right? So maybe we want to notify shipping that, hey, you're looking to receive these type of orders this week coming inbound. This is the kind of people that we need there. We need hand bombers, we need fort trucks, we need whatever. All those type of informations are reports that you as partners and your customers are generating daily within their organization. Let's use the software. Let's use Sage Alerts to use the data within 300 to generate those reports out, get them in the right hands of the appropriate people so that everybody has visibility and you don't have to worry about, hey, did somebody tell you this? Right? Now you're delivering it to them. And we know that not everybody's sitting in a desk in front of a computer, but let's send it to their phone. Let's send it to their watches. Let's send it to a monitor within the organization so that everyone can't say, I didn't know that was happening, because we've had Sage 300 send information to each and every one of them, both internally and externally. And then data cleansing, right? A lot of our customers certainly, sometimes they get to 10,000 SKU numbers and they start reversing over again and changing out using those SKU numbers again. So let's make sure the data within 300 is clean. Do we have the right email address? Do we have a complete phone number associated with it? Do we have all the ship to locations? So we have a billing address that we use, but they also have distribution centers that they use or final destinations that they use. Are all those addresses complete within it? Do we have orders with missing SKU numbers or items or pricing? Anything that's missing. So if we looked at every one of your customers' databases, what are the odds that we're going to find out that the records aren't complete, right? They're missing something out of it. Maybe it's a tax code, maybe it's whatever the scenario is. The software can then pull those out and deliver to your client. Here's what's missing by customer. So they can send that to the sales team and say, hey, let's get this all cleaned up and filled in here. Right? All that information can be then cleaned, brought back into 300, and then you really do have a single point of truth. And then inactivity data, right? And this is an important one, I think, and it's probably overlooked in the product more than anything. Inactivity for an organization is just as important about what's happening today is what's not happening today, right? So what's not happening? Well, things like, hey, when was the last time that customer ordered from us? Show me, if we look at salespeople, which I am one of them, and you are as partners, you're out there selling all the time. So in your day, what are you really dealing with? You're dealing with new customer ads because those are important, right? We got to get new customers. We got to maintain our install base, right? Our customers or account management activities that we have to do. But truly, our account activity management really comes down to one of our customers called, one of our partners called and said, hey, I've got a problem. Those are the ones that always bubble up, and those are the ones that consume our time, is the putting out those fires. But all our other customers who didn't have a fire, did we ignore them this week because we didn't get to them? So let's use the software to let's communicate with them. When was the last time that customer base of yours was contacted, right? So let's use the software and say, okay, the last time there was any activity across our customer base was, maybe 6 months ago. So what's happened in your customer's life in 6 months? Did your competitor go in there and sell them a product? Did they expand their business? Did they contract their business? What's happened with it? So we can use things like inactivity data to monitor the customer experience, if you will. Maybe we go and tie this into other softwares using our API, like SurveyMonkey or Pardot, where we can start marketing to information. When we see a customer in our customer master file that hasn't been touched in 90 days, let's trigger out a marketing activity to just drip market them, something new, some promo that we're running, what have you, in the system. Let's tell the salesperson that a customer who's historically ordered this many SKUs at this volume and this dollar value, let's say it's $1,000, and you have a customer who's always ordered that every week, for the last 6 months, and all of a sudden it's dropped to $500, right? That's a buying change habit. Let's notify the salesman that something's changed in that buying. The same scenario would work if they've always ordered $1,000 and all of a sudden it's gone to $2,000. Well, what again has changed in that buying habit? Let's notify the salesperson. The software and the process will always allow those orders to flow through. But if no one flags the differences, then there's an opportunity for something to a communication point with that client. Hey, did you lose the line? Are you grandfathering the product? Are you moving to another solution? Did my competitor get in there? What's the scenario for your volume going down? Or hey, I noticed your volume doubled. Did you do an acquisition? Have you expanded your lines? You've ordered additional SKUs that you didn't order before. All those things are changes that we can find from inactivity data. No quotes. When was the last time we quoted the salesperson? You know, all these things are inside that data resides inside of 300 right now. Why don't we use the software to aggregate it and deliver it in meaningful chunks so that people can make decisions for it or take action on it? And then anytime, anywhere alerts. Again, not everybody's sitting at their desk all day. They're out doing their things. So, when we deliver the product to your customer and to you, of course, it comes with 110 different predefined alerts, and these predefined alerts are really established over the course of time from organizations like yourselves and your clients, wholesale distribution, manufacturing. And these are the sort of the norms that most companies do. But each one of those events can be edited, modified. You can add additional, make them very bespoke to you and your business, the way that you want to run it. But I don't want to get all those alerts all the time. So, right. So you can say, hey, these are the ones that I want between 9 and 5. Have them sent to me after 5 o'clock. The AR aging report and cash on hand, those are really important to my sleep patterns. So I want you to send those to me at home. When I'm on vacation for my couple of weeks or whatever the scenario is, send them to my manager because he still needs to get the reports, or send them to my team because they need to get those reports, right? So there's ways to slice and dice each one of these reports that we're generating or each alert that we're generating, so you're getting them at the appropriate amount of time. And again, they'll come to the recipient by email, they'll come as an SMS. So maybe not everybody has email or access to it all the time, but they probably do have a phone. So let's send them an SMS of, this is the information you want. And maybe instead of just giving them data, we want to graph it for them, or maybe we want to color code it for them. So that when they look down at their phone, they see it's all green. They don't read the details. Digits get green, so they know it's good, or it's orange, or it's red. Okay, now I need to react to it, right? So you can use visual cues with data so that people consume it really quickly, right? So using these anytime, anywhere alerts information. And then triggered updates, right? So the great thing again about Sage 300 is it's data, right? So it's time stamped. Everything that something moves within there is a trigger event. Anytime you key something in, it's a trigger event. Anytime you change something, so maybe there's a price change that you want to be notified, or some sort of data set within 300 that your customer wants to notify. Let's create an event that happens, and as soon as someone changes something, and it could be a credit limit, it could be a price point, it could be my shipping date, let's send an alert out to the team that this has changed, right? So these triggered dates of if a client's overdue, right? So we look at your AR status, the client's overdue. Well, that's great. We want to send them a statement. Maybe at statement 60, we copy in the person. Maybe it's statement 90 days. We put them on credit hold, copy in the salesperson, copy in finance, right? So that we don't keep extending them. When an item goes below your min max level, what is the next thing that has to happen? Certainly notify people, but is it create a purchase order out to a reliable vendor, a repeat vendor, to fulfill those back into stock? Right? Maybe that's have the software do that. Order discounts, both, you've brought orders in-house. Did we give a discount to get that customer, to acquire that customer greater than 5%, greater than 10%, whatever that scenario is, you can put that into it so that someone's monitoring the sales team going like, hey, we got a sales guy who's doing great bringing orders in the door. But if we look at his orders, everyone he's giving a 25% or 30% discount on, we're not making any money. It's actually costing us money every time he brings an order in house. So let's use the software to monitor the habits and conditions that we want to have around our sales teams and around our order entry processes of what's going on. Show me items that haven't sold in the last 30, 60, 90. You pick a date, whatever the scenario is for your customer, is what items have not sold. So if we look at our inventory as really our cash, right? So we don't want to hold a lot of inventory because that's dead money, and that dead money is costing us to maintain it. There's shrinkage, there's damage, there's all kinds of things that are going to happen. There's an opportunity to become an obsolete product, right? So we don't want to hold a lot of inventory. So let's start running reports against, date times or value, if you will, and show me all the old inventory I have, particular SKU items, and then run a report of which customers order those SKU items historically, and let's cross-reference them and run a promo out to those customers and saying, look, hey, we've got all this, let's free up some cash, if you will, of some of this old inventory that we can deal with. Show me the quotes that are going to expire. We're, certainly, you know, you can't tell, but I'm actually calling you and having a conversation from you from Toronto, Canada, right? So we're dealing with this economic world that you're dealing with. We don't know what the landed cost of something's going to be next week or next month. We don't know what cost of freight's going to be. So we don't want to have a lot of quotes out there in the marketplace that are going to suffer from volatility. So we want to know pretty quick when we generate a quote, that quote has a stale date of X amount of days on it, right? And if it passes that X amount of days, I'm obligated to requote you. And if I'm obligated to requote you, it may be 25% more, right? It may be 10% more. Who knows? Um, but that's volatility. And so what's harmful for a salesperson or a finance person is show me all the quotes that are going to expire in the next 7 days, right? Let's get the salespeople out there to close them, get them in before, right? We can't run them out for 6 months anymore. We can't run quotes for 90 days. Let's start using those triggers to follow that information. If purchase orders need to be approved, let's take a copy of that PO, send it out to finance, and let finance respond back to Sage 300 and saying yes, approved, no approved, or hold, right? There's those three criteria, but at least we know that finance received it. The same if for engineering has to do something, the same as an order has to be released by finance because we received second payment, right? We can't ship it until we receive second payment. So those are like triggers that we want to follow. All these things, are available and as part of Sage 300 today. This data is not something that we're making up. We're just leveraging that data with Sage Alerts to pull that information forward and utilize it. So how does it work? So the software itself sits within 300. So if you go to knowledgesync.com, you're welcome to go and download the software. A couple things that you need to set up before you use the software. First, you set up some triggers within IIS, right? So you set up your internet because you're going to go through a browser. Why you're going to go through a browser to see the software so that you can get it, but within an organization, anyone within that browser can access it. So it's not an individual person, anyone can use it. Now they've got the setup of it, and that setup allows you to, from a cloud solution, use cloud connected services. So I talked earlier about using Pardot for our marketing. Maybe I want to use a monster board for our HRMS system. Maybe I want to use a currency converter because I want to localize it to the RAN or localize a, US dollars or Canadian dollars or what have you. I want to localize it. So show me the exchange rate of that moment of transaction so we can tie it into there. Maybe there's, Survey Monkeys, another product out there that we tie into because when I send an invoice out, to my customer, I also want to send them a link, and that link has, how did you enjoy the experience with you? So would you recommend us as a business, right? Because we're all looking for NPS scores, if you will. So we can use the software to tie into external things through the cloud and connect it through that. We collect through Gmail and all the different connections, if you will, for the communication. When we notify, the notifications, as I say, can go out to a browser. So there's pop up on your desktop, if you will. Go to a monitor in your warehouse, send it by email, send it by text, anywhere that you want to take that information and send it out to those things, to the recipients. Then we have forms delivery. So any type of form that's generated within Sage 300 can be utilized. Now, these forms can be taking the data out of the form and embedding it into the email or into the message, using it as an attachment as a crystal report, using it as an attachment as an PDF file, and tying that into the application, and then having those are reciprocal. So maybe we want to run reports and then at the end of the day, capture those reports, attach them and send them off to someone, right? So Crystal SSRS or third party reportings that are surrounded by Sage. Then we look at analytics. So again, the data is a one thing to look at, but if I can graph that data out for you and deliver it in different formats, then you have it in a visual sort of way. Are my sales up or down? Is my quote volume in or out? Right? All those type of things can be delivered to someone as a consumable. Then we have an REST API layer to it. So this allows you to do JSON, XML, communicate in and out of different things. So we have our core ERP package, but there's other packages that surround the customer's enterprise that they want to communicate data to it. And it could be simple things like, I want to create my packing list and my picking list in one location, but I need it to actually be picked and packed in another location. So let's send that information through an API down to a printer at the other location, or send it out to a different thing. There's all kinds of, you know, the great thing with technology is people are buying not necessarily from one supplier, one publisher, but they're buying best of breeds from other things because they're really unique to their business. But all those products in today's world all have an API layer. So we can use Sage Alerts to tie in and out of different CRM packages or different warehousing packages or different shipping packages. All can be tied in through a REST API, if you will. So when we look at the package, we can look at not just one database, right? So we want to set up, and this is very common, of course, is Sage 300 as the application, but it may have multiple databases underneath it, right? So I have a database maybe by currency, maybe by country, right? So, and that's very popular here in Canada, where we have customers who have a Canadian database. They also have an American database, and they also have a French database because of Quebec. And why that happens is because of the different tax codes. So some financiers decided that, the best way for me to monitor my customers and deal with it is I create a database by country because each one has a different tax code and reportings that I have to do. Or I do it by different SKU items, or I run multiple companies within the same Sage 300 database. Either way, we can connect to as many databases you want. When you get the software, it comes with one database connection. You continue adding databases 2, 3, and 4. Once you get to 4 databases, you get an unlimited license and you can connect to any type of database going forward. So we've got different, from Providex, Pervasive to SQL databases out there that people want to connect to. We can use the software to connect to it, pull the data out of it, aggregate it with the Sage 300 database, and deliver, one cohesive message, if you will. We tie into different APIs, so we have cloud-based different APIs going on. Think about it, Azure type databases. That can connect to, and then private clouds. So if you want to push data into different systems, we internally run a private cloud. Lots of companies do, where we're pulling information out to share it with you. And it could be just marketing information, because when you send you know, an invoice out to a customer, maybe the client wants to attach marketing materials that talk about peripheral products that go with the product the customer just bought. And here's an opportunity to upsell them because, hey, you've enjoyed the experience with me. Maybe you'd like to buy these additional products from us, right? So there's an opportunity to tie all that together as well. So if you can imagine from your customer's point of view, some of the things that I talked about, and hopefully, it sparks some ideas in your mind, knowing your customers and their business models and how they go to market, where you could see them using this product to be beneficial. Could you use it? Can they afford it? Right? That's always the question. So if we looked at of any of the things that I talked about in the last half hour here is could they get the value out of it? Right. And if someone was in that organization spending 15 minutes a day doing one of those activities that I talked about, and we give them a conservative payroll, it's about 175 bucks an hour or a month. Sage Alerts and Workflow starts at 127. So as I talked about, you buy licenses by database up to 4 and then get unlimited. Sage Alerts comes in 3 modules. There's the alerting component. Hey, I just want to send an alert out that this has happened or this has changed, right? That's great. Next, we want to add a reporting module. So I want to attach a Crystal report, an SSRS report. I want to drive data to that report, right? So I just don't want a stagnant database data in there. I want to use dynamic data coming from 300 and write reports into that application. And then the next thing is, what do I want to do with that report, right? So I want a workflow component to it. I want to post it to, I want to send it to, I want to capture information to, I want to do something with it. And that creates the workflow module. So the customer, so I'll back up for half a sec. When you as a partner download the software, you're getting all these modules. They're part of your NRF module, your license. So everything that I'm talking about, you as partners get, so you can run it in your own business at no cost. Your customers buy it by module, so they start out with alerts that they want to get going, and they go, hey, I really like this, I'm generating alerts, but I want to start adding reports to these alerts. So you add that component to it, and then finally you add the workflow component. So the customer can either grow into it or buy it all at once, and it's called a full featured one connection in the Sage pricing list of how you get that information. So that's how that information gets to you. So this is the website you would go to, knowledgelink.com. You go under resources, you can download everything, all the event packs, and you'll see there's about 100 different event packs out there for different ERPs and CRM systems and different products that are part of the Sage ecosystem that wrap around Sage 300, all have an event pack associated with it where you can go and get the information and pull it down and use it internally and also put it in your customer site. So one of the things that we do offer you as partners is an opportunity to set up Sage Alerts within your, once you go through the buying process and they go, yes, this is exactly what I want. I understand it. I have a budgetary approval for it. I'm ready to go. You're welcome to install the software at your customer site. Every download that's coming to you, which is a full functioning, right? So you get the alerts, reports, and workflow component, all full functioning, comes with a 90-day license. So if a customer just wants to try it out, get it set up, go through the motions of setting up IIS, setting up an OAuth 2 or SMTP connection for the emails to go out with, right? So it has to be sent by an email. So you create alerts at that company or info from that company within their firewalls. Send that information out, install Sage Alerts, and start firing off a couple alerts within their organization if they're going through that buying cycle. It's a quick way to close the deal, but it also gets them comfortable with using the product, right? So all that information is there. And then we have also available to you because we are, you and I are a 6-hour time difference, which is fine because I'll be there for you to assist in any demos that you need. I'll be there to assist you in implementations, getting the software up and running at your own facility, and getting the software up and running at your customer's facility. But I also have available to you about 25 different 7 to 18-minute videos, if you will, and these are just how do I do this, or how do I want to do this? I want to run a report. I want to run a query that has a change notification. I want to attach a crystal report, right? So instead of me going through these, you'll find that here's the video on it. And this is a great thing, because if you're in an organization, or your customer's organization, you don't want them to keep calling you. You can send these videos for them, and it walks them through how to do these alerts. We really encourage our customers and our partners to build their own alerts, make the product their own, not come to us, learn it, understand it. People who are SQL based, understanding of the product, or understanding SQL, they absorb the product instantaneously. You just love it, right? It just does what they want. People who can write crystal reports just love it because they understand data flow. But for the people that don't, these videos allow them to go through and understand what's happening within the product. How do I find the methodical way of getting that information out, and then how do I deliver it in the background? So these are available to you now. They're on the website. At the end of this, I'm actually going to send a bunch of information out to you through Sage. They're going to deliver to you some collateral, which will have these websites links associated with it. And then finally, then I'm just going to do a quick pop over to the software because we're running out of time. But a system of actionable insights, the best means that you can increase responsiveness to your organization and differentiate yourself from your competitors, right? We're looking for ways corporately to streamline processes. We're looking for ways to make sure that the information is shared, right? If someone takes a day off, does that link of information exchange get broken, right? If something happens in the business model, how do we make sure everyone knows? The software is there with 300 generating this information, so it takes the human element out of it. It's sending that information out and dispersing it throughout both your customers, vendors, and internally within your organization, so that that the same time that you're absorbing the information, everybody in the organization is doing it as well. There's no excuse for saying I didn't know, or I wasn't aware, or I was out that day, because you're going to get information from 300 to go forward. On there is my email address at any time. I'm available to you at swallow@knowledgesync.com, and I will work with you in a customer opportunity. Uh, if you want to bring your own customers together, be happy to do that. Do the same presentation again, make it more, you know, specific to manufacturing, to wholesale distribution, to discrete manufacturing. You decide what that market segment is, and we can talk about that market and how we go to it. So I'm just going to stop sharing this one for a second, and I'm going to end the show. Fill this. I'm going to go here for a sec and switch screens. And it should be here. And I'm back up and running with a new screen. So this is the actual product. You'll get this product. This is how it comes, and this is where I'm talking about a URL that's unique to you. So anyone within your organization, and it has to be within the firewalls of your organization because it's licensed that way, can utilize the software and get into it. Each event is associated with application events. So this just happens to be, but I'm going to hit this one, and whoops, expand that out. So as I talked about APARGLBO, right? So when I look at each one of these and expand it out, I get a series of queries. These queries come up. I'll shut this one down here for a second. And I can look at each one of these queries. So when we deliver the software to you, it comes with about 110 different of these queries, and we can look at them and say, okay, this is what I want this is what I want to do from a customer. Show me my inventory on hands, my chart balances. What is the scenario that we're looking for? That scenario runs through for AP, AR, GL, account balances. What do I want to do? When I want to look at account balances and I want to send it, here's all the information. So for the techies on board, right? This is what happens to be looking at a 100 database, but same concept of database. Here's the database tables. So we're exposing Sage 300, all the tables that were in the application, if you will. When I take those tables and I want to take a particular one, so we'll take customer contact and I want to expand them. These are all the tables within those columns. So we can very granular get to each level of data within 300. And then what do we want to do with it? We want to pull that information, right? We always need a unique key. So in this case, it's the customer number, which is unique. But then we're looking at all these different fields that we can pull through to write a report. And these can go on and on, so you can really drill down as far as you want into the data to get that information. For some people, it's just show me the SQL behind it, because you may be very good at, comfortable in looking at SQL. So we give you that ability as well to look at the SQL and pull that information out. But when I want to preview, I just pull from this database the customer number, the customer balance, the credit limit of those, the overday customers on it, the sales rep associated with it, right? So this is the type of information that can come out, and then I decide, okay, what do I want to send to, and who needs this information, right? Maybe it's the salesperson, maybe it's the sales manager, maybe it's finance. So the next step is what I do is I create an event and I send this to them. That event is based on a schedule. So I'm going to just cancel it out here for a sec. So I create an event and I go to accounts due. And then I go, what is my schedule that I want to put this on? Right. So, well, I can choose one. So it's daily, monthly, what is the scenario, every minute, every month, once a day, every twice, every day, whatever the scenario is, I can have it already predefined, or I can go ahead and create one, my own that I need that's specific to me. What is the trigger that I'm going to send? Well, I'm going to send this information to them, and then how am I going to send it to them? I want it to be a chart, a report, a file. I want to SMS it. I want to webcast it. So that's where you'd have a monitor somewhere out on the shop floor, and you can send out what needs to be shipped today, what support cases need to be done today, what shipments are coming in today. So all that's available to you. I create an action. So maybe it's a submit SQL statement that I want to add into something else. Maybe I want to post it to a web API, because I want to do that Survey Monkey or Pardot or what have you. There's all kinds of things that you can do in there with the data, because it's your data. You can push it, or create that report and file it in. And then it's just emailed out, and then we create a bunch of subscribers. Who's going to get that? Well, I want all these people to get it. Some people I want to be blind copied. I want to be, a department. Instead of sending it to an individual, I want to send it to the shipping department, or I want to send it to the, finance department. So you can granularly take the data and send it along the way as well. Everything that we're doing, because we're in the background of 300, you're not looking at this product all day, is you can go in and monitor it and see what's going on, see if it did or didn't do it. And because you're not watching it all the time, we actually have a software called Watchdog, and it will send an alert on itself. So if the software stops working or the software throws an error, because we know you're not in it looking at it, we're going to send that to you saying, hey, by the way, I just stopped, or I just had an error. You need to do something with it. So the software is telling the IT people or the finance person, whoever installs this, that this is happening. So it's monitoring itself going through it. So that's just the software is going through. So I'm going to stop sharing because I'm 10 minutes in, and I'm going to open it up. I guess we're good to go for any questions that you would have. Again, that presentation you're welcome to, and I will include it. I'll push it up to Dropbox, because it's probably too big to email, but I'll send it out there. I'll also send you the links of where you can get the software if you know, and you're, as I said, you're welcome to install it in your own organization, and have it, run it, get the value out of it for yourselves. And then additional collateral I'll send through Sage, some marketing materials, some messaging, what events come with the software. That's always a good one. And then I'll also include the how to set it up, right? So there's a implementation manual. How do I install it? How do I run it? How do I do things with it? And then that'll be followed up by those videos itself so that you'll be able to work through it. So with that, I'll open it up. I don't know if there's a chat going on here. There is.
There's one
So
question in the
yeah,
Q&A.
yeah.
It comes from Trust Consult. It says, which version of Sage 300 is this? Is this particular to North
So
America?
uh, so
Yeah.
we wrote. Yeah, no, a great question. And I should have covered that. The whatever is current version for Sage, back 3 versions, is active through Sage. I believe you go back there through your M&S. But we also know that there's customers who just haven't moved. So there is no version limitation. It is 32-bit technology. It's not 64-bit technology. Um, because this is a client and installed on Azure, installed on client server environment, it is based on 32-bit, but it's not limited to the version of the application of 300 has no date bearing on which version has any bearing on Sage Alerts. So you can install it on any version. Hmm. Oops. Any further questions that you have? And again,
Partners,
you
the
have my
microphones. Sorry
yeah,
about that.
no.
To the partners, the microphones are available. If you have a question, feel free to unmute and ask, or subsequently raise a hand. Let me ask a question in the
Yeah,
meantime, Greg. You said that the installation is a quick download and install. Is there any
yeah,
limitations on the system it needs to be installed on? Can you just go
I
through that process?
yeah, no, I'll our minimum requirement is really 2012 server, SQL Server. The Crystal Reports is 13.30.301, 2 or 4, 3 in Crystal, but I have all that written out of what is needed for an install. The the pre-design before you actually do the install is really the heavy load, heavy creation. It's setting up your internet to accept it. So we need to go into your IIS through System Manager. You need to go through and we give you a list of things that need to be checked off in your through your internet, and it's really just gateway openings. So your ASP.NET and that sort of idea to connect with. Once that's set up, the next thing that then we can go ahead and download the install. You'll need your systems administrator password. You'll need the database name that we're connecting to. Um, so have those at the ready through the install. We don't in the licensing of the from the database, we can't have greater than 15 characters and we can't have special characters. So if that's the scenario in your customers, then we actually create a new database set up with the criteria that we need so that we can do the install. Once it's installed, the next connection that you create is to either through SMTP or OAuth 2, two-stage authentication through Microsoft Office 365. Connect that through an email. So that's the way that we deliver the information out to it. So now you're connected and you can run it. Then we go to our website and you download the event pack. That event pack's set up. It's pointed to the Sage 300 database, wherever that's residing, and then you're good to go. So I try to get in and out of there in under an hour. but depending on a lot of the peripheral things, some people use, things like paperless office. Some people use, Sage or Office 365 can only send out 500 emails in a day. It has a cap on it. So some people use, different email delivery things, especially if they're sending out invoices and statements a lot or information a lot. They have different protocols in place for doing that. You may have customers who are ITAR related or FIBS related, where they have to have a security of data wrapped around it. So we want to make sure that the sovereignty of the data is met as we do that install. So we're following that protocol. So those nuances add additional time into it. But usually it's an hour to get in and out if it's pretty, generic, if you will. But worst case, it's a couple hours. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. Well, if no one has any questions, I am available to you. Certainly reach out. This information should be shared. If you've got
Yes.
a inkling of a customer that you think you could use it, let's talk about it and get me on the phone with the customer. We can see if we can ferret out what they're trying to do and how it would benefit from them.
All right. 100%. Once again, partners, thank you so much for attending our enablement sessions. Our thank you mailer will go out with Greg's contacts and all the additional collateral he will be sharing with you guys as the partners. As always, a link to a form to give us some feedback for these sessions. Let us know what you are looking to see. Let us know what format you'd like this to be in. The more interactive, the better, I always say. And once again, Greg, thank you so much for making the time to speak to the partners on the platform. And we'll see you soon. All right,
right, guys. Thank you
everybody,
so
have
much.
yourselves a good day. Bye-bye.
Take care. Thank you.
Ooh, Mitch has a question. Nope, no question.